And we are back with another Black with No Cream podcast. New episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real Verse World. And today's special guest is Ty Rogers, a filmmaker and photographer who has established himself as one of the top creators in the sports world, working with brands such as NFL Films, ESPN+, Adidas, and Uninterrupted, to name a few. In this episode, we learn how Ty transitioned from playing college baseball to becoming a content creator for some of the top athletes and sports programs in the country, such as Cam Newton, Duke basketball, and the University of Michigan's football team. Some of the things that we talk about are Ty's transition from a baseball player at Indiana University to baseball coach, and then to move on to become the graphic designer and photographer for the team. His experience creating social content for Duke basketball, getting hired by the University of Michigan, one of the biggest college football programs in the country, to create short films, which resulted in him winning 2 Emmy Awards. The moment Carolina Panthers QB Cam Newton DM'd Ty personally on his Instagram, asking him to shoot his NFL games on Sundays. And his current endeavors, where he is elevating his game in the commercial campaign and documentary space, working with brands like Adidas and LeBron's Uninterrupted Media. This episode is super unique, and I'm stoked to bring Ty on to share his story. If you've ever wanted to create content in the sports world for athletes, teams, or brands, you definitely want to be taking notes on this one. But if this is your first time tuning in the podcast, you're probably wondering,
what the fuck is Black with No Cream?
Great question. Black with No Cream is the illest educational resource for content creators fueled by caffeine. Or at least I take my coffee black with no cream, but you can drink or not drink whatever caffeine you fuck with and still be a part of our community. We have thousands of members from all around the world working together by sharing content, asking for feedback, passing tips and tricks along to one another with the goal of pushing each other to become the best motherfucking content creators on earth. And you can join our private group if you want to by going to bwnc.com/join. We would love to fucking have you. Please join. All right, that's it. Enjoy the work week. Keep creating. Make sure to tune in every single Wednesday and Sunday for a new Black with No Cream podcast episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Black with No Cream. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube so you can get all the education content that we put on there. And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That'd be appreciated. And without further ado, I bring to you the most epic podcast intro I've ever created in my entire life. Right motherfucking now.
Attention.
If you stop this podcast recording at any time, you will die.
I don't want to die.
Do you want to live? Yeah.
You have 24 hours to share this podcast with 5 people or you will die.
I'm kidding, you won't die. You're just weak shit for not sharing.
And the winner of the best motherfucking podcast goes to...
Black with No Cream.
What do you think?
It's so fucking dumb and so fucking Ben Haggerty.
I knew you would say that. All right, that's enough. We're back. The podcast is live. How you doing, dog?
Doing pretty good.
You good? Yeah, everything's good? Ty Rogers on the podcast today. We're brand new friends.
We are.
This is it. This is the beginning of a friendship, man. No, I've seen your work. You got some amazing shit. Like, it looks like you kind of travel a lot.
I do travel quite often. Yeah, if not every week, every other week.
It seems to be like that because I know. So shout out to Darren for linking this.
Yeah.
He's been interning with us for a long time, helping us out with the podcast. I wouldn't even call him an intern anymore, but he started pointing out your work, and then you guys started traveling around with LeBron James' kid.
LeBron, yep, his high school team, Sierra Canyon.
When did you guys start doing that?
That would have been 2 months ago, I think.
Right.
Close to it. So we've been going for quite a long time.
And it's like every week, like you guys have been hitting the road.
Every week, yeah.
So traveling to any game that he has, it's like an away game, right?
Pretty much. It's like, long story short, it's 12 games. So they got like 20 high school basketball games for Sierra Canyon.
Right.
And I think we cover 12 of them. So not all of them, but
a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah. And then I didn't know. All right, so me in sports, I'm like the farthest from understanding a lot of shit that's going on. I've had a cool chance to like work with like different people like Antonio Brown and Von Miller and them, but it was like through EA, and then they put me in that room, and they kind of like that I'm like a terrible sports fan because they're like, you're our demographic at EA Sports, you know what I mean? We want you to play the game, so like what kind of content can we make? But Darren started coming in and explaining this whole thing. He's like, yeah, Bronny. I'm like, Bronny, who's Bronny? And he's like, LeBron James' kid. And I started learning about it, and he's like telling me how massive of a deal this is, like to like live in his dad's footsteps and to be able to go hit the court, and like they have like they're broadcasting these high school games on ESPN and shit.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's the record for obviously like high school basketball is big in several states and whatnot, but like this team it's a private high school to my knowledge, and they got like crazy good players. So they got like 3 or 4 who are like top 15 in the class. So like Bronny is arguably like the most famous high school hooper, rightfully so because of his father being LeBron. But like his all the attention's on him. He doesn't even start on the team, but he's a really good player. He's only a freshman. He's young, but like their team's so good, he doesn't even start, and he's like the 6th, 7th man. But
he doesn't even start.
He doesn't even start on the team.
What?
So yeah, he's a freshman, but he's really good playing on
Right.
this varsity team that like has players who have transferred there. It's kind of like how the private high schools do it more so nowadays.
right.
Like it's kind of like recruiting good players to come play here.
Sure.
With all those reasons, whatever. But no, it's a really good team. It's been a lot of fun.
So then with that job, you guys have been kind of making like social highlights of each game?
Each game that we cover of the 12. So I
Right.
think we've done like 8 so far. As of today, we got another one tomorrow. But basically our role with Uninterrupted, which is founded and owned by LeBron and
Got it.
Maverick Carter.
Right.
I don't know when they started, but they do a really good job of like making the athletes first rather than like the money and the promotion of the team, but like hearing the athlete's voice.
Right.
So obviously being Bronny on this high school team in his first year as a freshman, LeBron, his company Uninterrupted, wanted to do like a documentary series on their high school team. And where we come into the fold is we're going to do the social media part of it, where we're going to promote these 12 games we're covering on Uninterrupted's page. So me and Darren are doing the filming and I do the editing for it of those 12 games. But then
Right.
our footage is going to be used in the documentary series that's going to come out at a later date.
Right.
Whether it's going to be on Netflix or I'm not sure, Hulu,
Sure.
whatever it is, or YouTube, Facebook, whatever the case might be. But it'd be cool to like be on that as well.
Absolutely.
And the coolest part is like every video we make, like LeBron is signing off on it. So like he gets to see it, he engages with it, he shares it. So it's like it's getting seen by like thousands of people, and it's like
millions.
yeah, and like I've been doing video for a while now, and they've been seen by a lot, but not at this number, just because LeBron's name and his brand like puts it out there for the people to like see it. And it's so cool because the high school team, it's a small gym, they're really good, but like the people that come to these games is like crazy. Like they had one game in an NBA arena, and they had more fans for their high school game than the NBA team that plays there the night before. That's a high school team. That's crazy. It's like you're telling me they had more fans at the game, and it was like it wasn't even in California. I think it was in Minnesota, so Timberwolves, and they had more people at their game than the Timberwolves did the night before.
Bro, that
crazy,
is ludicrous. Like,
Crazy.
could you imagine being in high school? Like, that's what I was so blown away about, because he's like explaining this process to me, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even realize this. My bad. I didn't realize how massive it was becoming. And then to think like, bro, imagine Instagram existing like in high school at the level it is right now, right? To be able to come in, already your dad's like famous, right? For him, Bronny, but all these other high school kids, I don't know what the situation is, but like to play in a stadium, to like come out and have that many people watching you, and you're just a high school kid, like
crazy, yeah.
What that can do to your mental, like, you know what I mean? Just how you move and how things are developing. You're already probably like looking at getting signed immediately at that point, right?
And Bronny, for instance, he's a freshman. He's probably what, 15?
Yeah.
15 years old. And so it's
Oh
like
my God.
crazy.
Dude,
It's like,
ludicrous. That's a dope opportunity.
yeah, it's really fun. So it's being seen by him, and then obviously thousands of people, and they're a lot of fun. They're really good. They're like a top 10 high school team, however they do the rankings, but top 10 in the country.
Right.
So they're really good. So hopefully, like I said, we got the 12 games, but the playoffs as well. So hopefully they play and win a state championship, because we'll get to film the entire playoffs, however many games that is, 4 or 5 or 6, whatever. So it'll be 12 plus playoffs. So that'd be really cool. It's a good opportunity for me and Darren as well, and just awesome.
No, that's sick. I obviously, this is like currently what you're working on, and I know things are. I mean, especially after yesterday, like the news of that was like
so sad, crazy,
so sad, man. Like like, man, I don't know. I just saw like the video of LeBron. I think he was like, where was he at? He was like in
he
a
was getting
parking-
off a plane.
Off a plane.
I think the Lakers just got, or he just got back. I don't think it was the Lakers plane, but his private plane, I believe, just got back in LA, and he found out the news. It was crazy. I teared up when I saw it. I was like, the whole day, and even I still feel it today. Like,
oh yeah,
I was catching myself this morning just randomly having thoughts of it. Just like, it's just crazy. Such a legend, not only to Los Angeles, where he's been quite a long time, but like the whole basketball world.
Right.
And even touching people more so than just basketball, just the things he's done.
Yeah.
People who know him, which is quite a few. He's just impacted so many different people. But
man,
I didn't believe it when I first saw it. I was like, this has got to be fake. Like,
Yeah.
this is crazy news. And I was just looking at everything. I'm like, wow, this is real.
Right.
Like, I couldn't, like, I teared up immediately. I was like, this is wild.
Yeah, me and my girl were like watching a show, and then we both got like an alert. We're like, Kobe died in a helicopter, and we're like, no way. And you think it's TMZ, and you're like, please fuck up on this one. Like, please don't let this one be real. And I mean, me not even being basketball, but everyone knows Kobe, bro. Like, I watched his Muse documentary. Have you ever seen that?
I have not seen it, but I've heard of it.
We referenced it so much when we were making a doc on Mary J. Blige, but the way they did their interviews, we're like, yo, this is amazing. We like made her watch it. Like, I'm like, the way it was done, the way he talks, and the way he like carries himself, it just motivates you. Like, naturally that dude motivates you. But I'm sure, obviously covering LeBron's company, it's like there's got to be a heavy load right now. Do you guys have a game coming up? When's the next game?
Yeah, the next one will be tomorrow. So we had a game a few days ago, and the video we would have gone out yesterday, but they didn't post it because of the news. So it was just no posting for Uninterrupted yesterday, so they waited. I think they're going to do it today. But yeah, the next game will be tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see how that is.
Because does he go to every game, I'm assuming?
So LeBron's been to, I think, 2 of the games so far that we've been at. We cover like every other game, but he's been there twice. So one was in Columbus, which is where near where LeBron grew up in Akron, Ohio. So that's the game that it was another game that really sold out, like 14,000 people, which is insane for a high school team. That's just nuts. It's more than like college teams and NBA
crazy.
teams. But yeah, he's been there twice. But it was cool because it was the first time I've ever saw LeBron like in person. He's a monster. I mean, he's just, however tall he is, just way taller, way bigger. But it was pretty cool to see him up close and being able to film him. And,
man.
Yeah, the game he was at too, Bronny ended up having like 20-some points coming off the bench. He had like the game of his career so far, even though he's only a freshman. But yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. Like, I think all sports right now, it's going to be different. You know what I mean? Like, especially documenting the sports. And like, I guess to circle back before we get into anything farther from like current day, it's like you coming into the sports world. It's been interesting because I talked to a ton of different creators on this podcast, and it's usually music driven. And I know you shot a lot of music stuff too, but your reel is pretty much all sports. So where did you ever play sports before you picked up a camera? Or?
I did. So I high school. Let's go back to high school days. Grew up in Indiana, near Indianapolis. Okay. Played baseball and basketball. Those are the 2 sports I played. Was better at baseball. I actually went to college on scholarship. Played baseball at Indiana University in the Big Ten, Bloomington, Indiana. Had a great time there for them. Had a pretty good career. And then played 1 year professionally. And then after a year, they were like, "Boop, cut me." And then just it is what it is. You stop playing at one point in time. At that moment when I got cut after college in the pros, I was like, it was independent, like rookie league, so it was nothing like major league or anything like that. But when I got cut, I was like, wow, like what do I do now? I don't have like baseball. I'm not playing anymore because you're supposed to go to college, get a degree, which I did, and like thinking ahead, but I just want to play baseball. It's like, what do I do now that I don't have baseball? So started to get into coaching, so I stuck around. Then it goes into another story of like what I'm doing today. But yeah, those are the sports I played.
So you were playing baseball. You finished. What were you going to school for when you were playing?
Criminal justice.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah, I didn't really know exactly what I'd want to do with that, like a parole officer or something, or police officer, even that. But it was like, okay, it was something at the time that I was like interested in. Like I liked watching like crime stuff on TV, documentaries, whatever I would see. Right. I was like, I really like this, but my focus was like sports, baseball. I wanted to play forever, right? I wanted to make $1 million in the major leagues. But it's not super realistic. Only so many people make it. So when that was kind of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't exactly sure. But as you can tell, I got the criminal justice majors really paid out for me now, being a video creator and a photographer. But that's what I went to school for.
That's crazy. So my brother grew up superstar. Me and him are the exact opposite. He's a swole motherfucker, and like he played baseball, all that stuff, and baseball was his life too. And he got all through college on, full ride on that, whatever. And then eventually like tearing his shoulder and something in his knee, and it makes you literally stop. And it's like that, like watching him go through it, like dealing with like the idea of that's all from like as soon as you can swing a bat till you're told no more. Like that's your whole life.
Exactly.
You don't see the future beyond that because that is the future that you could do this forever.
Yep.
And it was tough watching him go through it. Having to have like that. There's no way around it. Like you cannot swing the bat or run as fast as you used to. Like it's just not gonna happen anymore because of all these surgeries and shit. It was hard to watch. Was it something like that for you when you kind of realized it was like, all right, I got cut from this? what do I do now? Is that hard for you?
Yeah, it's just, you have all these goals and dreams and what you want to do, and it's baseball driven, and then you want to play as long as you can. But like, I didn't have any crazy like injury or anything, just didn't play too well. And it was like, I could have kept playing, possibly. I would have to sign with like a different team, but I was like, you know what? Like, I realized that maybe I'm not going to make it as far as I wanted to. And once I got to that level, like, I kind of realized, Major League is going to be tough to make that, or even AAA, AA, whatever. Right. But that was like the goal, right? Was to keep working hard, put my head down, put my hands in the dirt, and keep doing what I got to do to get better. Yeah. And hopefully get signed. But, reality came and didn't make it. I'm still proud of like everything I did. Totally. College-wise, had a great career at Indiana, and then pro ball the 1 year, but it was cut short. But just move on to the next endeavor in my life. And I was like, you know what, I'll just start doing coaching, because I want to stay around baseball. So I started coaching at the university. I did end up coaching at Indiana later on, but like, I moved around so many times, like JUCO baseball for a little while, like in Illinois. Then went to like a school in Michigan, Division I, Oakland University, small school. Then kind of moved around back to Illinois at another Division I. I bounced around a lot. So that was kind of like the coaching thing when you were new and young in it. You're like moving jobs every year, trying to like get that promotion and like that next place to like try to be like a head coach or something later on. So it's like, you got to keep going, because the pay is not like the greatest. So like, you just got to keep moving up. Man, it's funny that my brother ended up becoming a cop. Yeah. he started studying criminal justice too. That's crazy. Is he still a cop today? Yeah, it's like his second year now being a cop. Yeah, it's really weird to watch. Yeah. I did ride along with him not too long ago when I was back home. Never done that before, but it'd be fun. Go. It'd be crazy out here in LA. Oh my God. Wild. He's in like a high crime rate area too, so it's pretty nuts like what we were getting into, but damn, what a wild life. But okay, so criminal justice, you're not doing that. Correct. So you get done, you do the coaching. How do you find yourself kind of getting into the creative field? So, like I mentioned, bouncing around a lot of different schools as a coach, trying to like make my niche in the, as a hitting guy, infield guy, whatever. And I'm at my fourth school I'm at is Indiana, which was my alma mater, where I played at, went to school. This is my fourth year in. And long story short, at that time, like, you're dealing with a lot of recruiting, obviously, at the highest level. So you're trying to get those kids to come to your school, like the best players from the state, wherever. And I started seeing that, like, to get like one up or an advantage versus like other schools, that maybe during my downtime I can help make like marketing, promotional stuff to like help give information or entice these high school recruits to like come to play baseball in Indiana because of reason A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. So like propaganda, marketing materials, whatever. So I started picking up Photoshop during my downtime. So I'm like, I'm an assistant coach, I'm doing camps, coaching the team, whatever, doing my job, my roles. And then in my downtime, it was making like Photoshop promotional stuff to send to these kids, myself and the head coach, whatever, all the coaches, and to give them the information about Indiana. Anyway, long story short, I'm learning Photoshop like on the fly, like YouTube tutorials. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm like liking this. Like I learned how to like crop somebody out of a photo and like make this stuff that was like, all right, and is this a waste of time or is this worth it? But it was worth it because like the recruits were liking it and they were like engaging with it. And they're like, oh, Indiana's a cool place. Maybe I'll come check them out. Maybe I'll sign here, whatever, if we're really interested in. And it was kind of a big thing, like, and it still is today.
Is that a part of a job? Is that a job requirement?
That was not for me. So I just picked it up. Wow. Like as an extra. It was like not like all my requirements. It was like, okay, Ty wants to do this. Like it's extra for us, but they're not going to, like, it's helping us. So it's like, it was kind of on my own time. It was kind of like extra work.
That's so valuable to the school.
No doubt. And it's like, even then, that would have been five years ago. Like it was big, but it's even bigger now. Like marketing materials to give these recruits and the fans, whatever, on getting them to come play at your university. But so I was picking up Photoshop, all that stuff, learning on the fly. And then like a half of a year, like 6-7 months in, the head basketball coach, who was Tom Crean at the time at Indiana University. Okay. He's at Georgia now, but he was the head coach. He got wind of like what I was doing for like recruits, and like even at the Division I basketball and football level, it's like way bigger than any other sport. Like you have to get the top players, because if you don't get the top players and win, you can get fired and lose your job more so than other sports, because that's the money makers, basketball and football. So Tom Crean, the head basketball coach at the time, got wind of like what I was doing to help get our recruits to come into the program. And he was like, we need something like that. So
was anyone else doing this at the time?
Not at Indiana, but some schools were. So like there were some other, it was new. So like, especially with social media, and it was like booming with like graphic design, video, photography, like just showing off your program and like why it's cool or neat or why you should come here. Indiana didn't have one at the time. They're a big school. And Tom Crean saw that, and it was new, and he knew that other schools were doing it. And as a competitive head coach, he's like, how can we, one up the next best program? How are we going to beat out the Kentucky or North Carolina or Duke or whatever? So he spoke with our head baseball coach. He's like, hey, I want to hire Ty. So, and I was a baseball coach / Photoshop guru, or I thought I was a guru at the time, on my own time and dime, like at late nights, literally like midnight or 1 a.m. I was doing this stuff in the office, like literally 24-hour days. It was crazy. But the head coach came to me. He's like, hey, I just spoke with Tom Crean. Like, you're coaching baseball now. You're doing a great job with us as my assistant, as one of the 3 assistants. Like, do you want to keep doing this, or do you want to take this job? Because he wants to hire you for this marketing material, graphic designer, social media, etc.
Like creating his own position for you.
Creating his own position because they've never had one. And I thought about it for like 24 hours, and I was like, what's the salary going to be?
Yeah.
And I was like, no brainer, I'm going to do it. Like, literally within 24 hours, I'm like, I'm going to change my career. And the salary was like double, because like baseball coaches didn't make much money.
Yeah.
Like, it's the basketball, football. That's where all the money is in college.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, double the salary. I'm willing to give up, coaching baseball, which is what I've always known or done my whole life. So it was kind of a crazy decision for me, but, I just went in with both feet. So I said, all right, I'll take the job, and kind of went from there.
Isn't it crazy that like this major university just hired a dude who picked this up off a YouTube?
Yeah, it's world.
Only cared about baseball and then slowly picked up photoshopping.
Yeah, all in 6-7 months. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Crazy. And I still don't today. I don't know how Tom Crean, the basketball coach, got wind of my work, because some of it was public. Like the head coach of the baseball team would tweet some out, or so he probably saw it that way. But I still don't know like exactly how. I never asked. But yeah, somehow I got wind of the work.
Gotta ask. Bro.
I got to find out.
Reach out.
But yeah, he hired me, and it was a blast. I spent 1 year at Indiana men's basketball. Yeah.
So did you feel like nervous when you got there to be able to like make sure your work was really hitting the marks to influence these people to come to the school?
Absolutely, because Indiana men's basketball, it still is, was 5 national championships, like a big program. Bob Knight, who's like one of the biggest college coaches of all time, coached in Indiana. But like, it was a big program, and it was nervous, I guess, a little bit, and excited, because it's like, all right, I've literally known Photoshop for like 5 months, like in graphic design. Like, I've done a good job. It was more like a hobby, I guess you could say. When I was a coach, it was like a hobby, but it was to help the program. But it wasn't like I want to learn Photoshop and all this, After Effects to like make it a career. But I dove in and took the job, so now it is a career, and now I gotta learn it even more. So it's like I'm doubling down on like YouTube tutorial. I'm learning more and more, which is kind of how your story was with like learning stuff online.
Just of course.
Notorious, like just tutorials, and literally you can find anything on the internet for free.
Facts. Yep.
And
YouTube University.
Yeah. So I was like, and they liked my work, and I was like, inside, I'm like, I've only been doing this like 5 months. This is crazy, but I knew I was pretty good at it, but I was always wanting to get better at it and then keep improving. So I kept like, doing more and more on my downtime or whatever, learning more, and kind of just went from there.
So when you're at the school, are you only taking like current images that they had and like working with that to make flyers and content, or were you trying to set up like shoots to get specific content that would work for your ideas? Did you start pitching at all, or were you just kind of working with what you had? Working with what I had to start, being like new into that position, and kind of not only just doing the work, but like filling out how that position would be, because it was so new to me, especially being like in a full-time salary position doing that. Taking the job, like I was like, this is new. Like I don't exactly know like the ins and outs. Learned it quickly though. But basically messing with what I had from like the team photographer at the university. So at this point, I was just graphic design. I was no photography or video up to this point yet. So like I had never picked up a camera. I couldn't even tell you how to turn a camera on at this point. So it was like I'm just on the laptop, computer, just Photoshop, and using like images and After Effects a little bit, kind of learning that program, but basically just using what I have. But sometimes it'd be like setting something up for like a specific shot or whatever during downtime to use that. But again, everything I had at my disposal was marketing materials for the head coach of the program to use, like for recruits that would come in and be interested in school. Right. So how you get done with school, you go play pro for a second, that ends, then you go coach, and you're coaching all over the place. So what's the timeline here? Like how many years have passed since you got out of school before you got that job?
So that job would have been in 2013, and I graduated from Indiana in 2010.
Okay.
So this would have been, and then I would have played 1 year pro ball, 2011, So it would have been 2012, 2013 was
Right.
Now I'm doing graphic design at Indiana.
Yeah.
So
And Photoshop wasn't as dope as it is now back then.
Exactly, yeah.
So you're learning on
Yeah.
the beginning of it. You
The
know what I mean?
beginning, yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
that is insane. So then how long till you end up, like, where's the switch happen?
So it's crazy because it's, you know, I'm at Indiana for, I want to say 8-9 months, almost a year for, this is after baseball. So this is with men's basketball program.
Oh, so you were doing all the sports.
No, just basketball.
Okay,
just
right.
basketball. So I was doing the baseball coaching at Indiana.
Right.
When then I got switched over to men's basketball
Right.
with Tom Crean in the basketball program. But I think it was 9 or 10 months in, and then my work was seen on like social media and whatnot. And Duke men's basketball had a job opening. Ironically, I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested. Like, but at the time, you can't just like publicly say, I want to go to this school. It's
Right.
like, you know, Indiana wants to keep me, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
And then Duke is like, all right, I'm interested. Maybe it's more money. Maybe it's a better opportunity. Who knows? Even though Indiana is my alma mater, but the creative director or the director of basketball operations saw my work, liked me, brought me in for an interview. And this is 9 months into the basketball job at
Yeah.
Indiana. There was like 300 people who had applied. I was one of 300. He interviewed 5, and I ended up getting the job.
Damn.
So now I'm like in a position like, okay, I'm new to this Photoshop, graphic design, marketing, propaganda, recruiting, stuff like that for men's basketball. Now it's been 9 months, and I'm like, do I leave my alma mater that I love? And I've spent so many years here in Indiana, grew up in Indiana, and take this job. And at the end of the day, I took the job. It was a little bit more money,
Right.
and it's just a new opportunity. And Coach K is like the most legendary head coach of like all time, or one of the top few.
Yeah.
He's been at Duke for years. So I was like, you know what? This is like an opportunity of a lifetime. So I'm going to take that. And again, it was the same position, but it was just more money in a new school. Duke's a great university.
Yeah, massive.
Massive, yeah. So many alums out of there and people that connections you can make. So it was like, you know what? Let's move. Let's jump in and try it out.
So would you work close? Who was like your person that, like, your liaison? Did you have someone that kind of communicated from the coach that told you what they wanted, or would you talk to the coach about anything specific, or were you just kind of doing your own thing, pounding them out and seeing what stuck?
It was a little bit of both. So a lot of it was pounding it out, like they trusted me with what I was doing.
Yeah.
To like just get in there, do the work, and then they liked it, and then keep pushing. But my direct contact would be like the director of basketball operations at each school. So like the head coach has got so many things on his plate, right?
Right.
And like marketing, propaganda is important to him, but he doesn't want to have to deal with that. He wants to do the X's and O's, plays, recruiting,
Yeah.
like on the phones, and the assistants. So I was working directly with the operations guy, or like the assistant coaches. Like assistant coach would bring me in saying, hey, like, let's do this for player XYZ. Like
Right.
he's a big Kendrick Lamar fan, right? So let's put his face in like in a uniform on a Kendrick Lamar album.
Right.
Just like something cool and fun that the
Yeah.
kid would be like, ooh, this is cool, this is catchy. Like, you know, Indiana or Duke, they got some swag to them. This is cool. Like they're relevant with the culture and all that stuff.
Right.
Whatever the example is, not always just like an album
No,
cover,
sure,
but like,
sure.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I love
and then
that.
why Duke is cool and all this stuff, and like why you get a good education, and being an alum from here is these are the reasons why it'd be good, stuff like that. But yeah, I'd be working with the operations and the assistant coach.
Did you ever find yourself like kind of dipping into the marketing department just to like pull some tips and shit from them?
I actually didn't,
No?
because they're always like, at universities, how it's set up, I was always like in the program, but like marketing would be like buildings down.
Right.
So like we would like intervene, and like we're friends, like
Yeah.
we work together at the same university, but like it was never too much like bouncing ideas off. But I would have been all for that if it would ever happen. Yeah.
No. So okay. So when you're there, do you start picking up a camera at this point? Like, I'm so interested in this. It's so crazy because time's passing so
Yeah.
much. You know what I mean? The common story is like, I had a camera since I was a kid. Blah, blah, blah,
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, and it's crazy because, like I mentioned, like I'm moving so fast, changing a profession from baseball, which all I knew, to now Photoshop, graphic designer, I guess you could call me,
Yeah.
marketing, propaganda stuff, whatever.
Right.
But like after a year at Duke, so I was at Indiana men's basketball when I jumped in for 9 months, went to Duke for a year and a half, or closer to 2 years. But the moment I picked up a camera would have been, I think, a year into the Duke job.
Okay.
So I was graphic design like I was in Indiana, but at Duke for the first year, just on the computer, did not pick up a camera. But my boss mentioned, hey, maybe you should try filming, photographing a game. We can buy a camera, whatever. I was like, sure, why not? So I picked it up. Literally, I can still remember today, like I learned how to turn it on, but I didn't understand why my photos were blurry. So I like it to go to YouTube and like figure out shutter speed and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, all right, this is making it a little better. So like I'm learning on the fly again. And this was kind of just for fun or whatever, but more obviously my work being on the computer, but picked it up and started learning quick. And then I started photographing or filming like every game. And I'm like, I kind of like this. We had a decent, I think it was like FS 700 or something like that.
Right. Just
kind of sitting around, and our intern did some video work, and he kind of inspired me as well. Like, hey, I'd love to like learn how you're filming the practices or whatever. And I would just pick it up and go do it. And I liked it. Like I could, frame an image that looked pretty good. And I was like, all right, maybe I'm decent at this.
Right.
So I started messing around, like making like highlight videos of like practice or a game. And like fans liked them, and recruits liked them, the coaches liked them. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep like learning how to use the video camera, photo camera. I'm like, all right, this is cool. Like, throw with like a trap beat on there or something, like some instrumental or a song. I'm like, all right, this is cool, right? So I'm like learning on the fly again while I'm still doing like graphic design as my main job. This was kind of like something I picked up while doing graphic design at Duke. So yeah, it's a crazy story.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's just funny how it's like on accident.
Yeah.
All of it seems to be like on accident. Like, this could be cool. Maybe this will work.
Exactly.
Just
kind of just inspired by like what I saw other people doing, or like inspired by like how I saw my work growing or getting better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a challenge in a way.
Yeah.
And always wanting to like learn something new rather than, all right, I'm content being a graphic designer. I'm just cool. I'll just stay in this little cubicle and do my thing. I just want to like learn something new. And, another reason I picked up the camera, because I wanted to take my own photos for Photoshop instead of always using like the photographers, who was great.
Yeah.
But like, it'd be cool to like use my own images. That was another reason I started to learn photo as well.
Yeah, because it's fun to see your stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also interesting too, because I feel like at that time, it wasn't like, this is what, 2013?
So this would have been 2014, 2015, yeah, 2014.
Because at that time, that's like right when the motion of like people having access to like affordable gear and recaps started becoming like easier to do, I guess. Like, but I don't, like in high school and college, it's like I don't remember there ever being like cool media like that. I went to UNI, which was the Panthers, but like we're right by the Hawkeyes, and I remember the Hawkeyes always had like I heard they had like really nice gear, they had like a cool camera department, all this stuff, and then they were starting to film videos, but I would never see it come from our stuff. As soon as I left and like got into this space, times change and like gear becomes more accessible and stuff, and then you start seeing, I remember seeing like really cool, like even our tailgates. Some kid was going out and making like an ill highlight of the tailgate. I'm like, I've never seen anyone film that before. You know what I mean? Like no one would go out of their way to do it, and it started to become trendy. You know what I mean? Like to start having it. And we would have like highlight videos. I would edit highlight videos in high school for my friends, and like, but it would always just be a camera locked off somewhere, filming for 2 hours, and someone makes you like zoom in on the cool catch, and it looks trash.
Terrible, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that was it. But so was there anyone else that was shooting those games, or was it just you?
So there was another person who worked for what they call Blue Devil Network at Duke, kind of did the video, or was part of the little mini video team for the whole university. So I think they have 19 sports, so they would film all 19. So they would be at every basketball game. But I was like directly like with the basketball team, so like I was at every game doing whatever. So like I would get access to like what he shot or his footage, and I knew the guy because we would work together like during the games and whatnot. So like I'd be combining my footage that I shot and then his to make like a video. So I guess you could say there's two, and then like we would have rights to like ESPN footage or CBS, whatever the game might have been on. So sometimes you would get that, the 720p like high angle, all 10 players on the court. Like, so I would dive into that, like if we missed a player or whatnot. But basically me and his camera were the more like, I guess you could call it cinematic, on the ground, super slow-mo, whatever. I think we were shooting like something ridiculous, like 240 frames a second sometime. And again, I didn't even like, I just knew 240 looked cool to me. So it was like
slow.
Super slow. And I can't say I've shot 240 since then, even though my camera can. But like, then I was just like, this is so cool. Like I'm learning video, 240 looks crazy. Like,
oh, that's the best part about picking up a camera, seeing slow motion.
Yeah, it's like my phone couldn't do this. No other cameras I'd picked up. It was just nuts, and just people liked it. But yeah, it was me and the other guy.
That's crazy. Yeah. So then, does that change your title there, or do you stay graphic designer but also are a videographer, photographer?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the title stayed the same, and then added that element into the video side. But my title was creative coordinator. But even though I was graphic designer, kind of picked that up, so kind of added it to my plate, my own willing. Like it wasn't like, hey, go shoot video or you're fired. Like it was, I wanted to do it. I was interested. But I guess the change came when my next job would have been University of Michigan, which I ended up spending close to 3 years, 2.5, 3 years there. Just left there recently, but they started a new position. It was going to be like video centric, like mainly all video work, a little bit of photography, but no graphic design because they already had somebody for that. And at this point, I was 2 years into Duke, and I was like doing more and more video right after the first year. And I liked it, and it was like my thing. Like I wasn't even photoshopping as much. It was just more video, which was great, and I was loving it. So this job opened. It was more money, and it was going to be a transition to solely video and some photo work. And I got the job after interviewing a couple times, 2 interviews on that one. Got the job, and then it was no more, Photoshop, graphic design. I mean, I use Photoshop still occasionally for like text and stuff like that, but like I'm not like doing edits in Photoshop anymore like I used to. But took the job at Michigan and spent 3 years there, straight video and photo on the side as well.
So was Duke finding it super valuable to be having you creating these videos? Like that's where they stopped caring as much about the Photoshop stuff and the video started selling the idea of what's possible there a little bit more?
I think they really liked both because both have like importance, like the printout, mail out that you can send to a recruiting parent or show them when they're on a visit, but they also like the impact of like video because it was like starting to boom at that time and be bigger on social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case, YouTube. But they saw the impact of like creative video being watched and used towards recruits, these 5-star recruits around the country and their parents getting such valuable information. And if you think about it, like these high school kids maybe visit your school like once or twice ever or a year, come to one game or one recruiting visit. And they can Google the university and stuff, but like when you can show them inside the program, which is where I was, like footage of the guys in the locker room, getting to know a player. Like maybe they look up to our best player who was ranked number 1 in the country or whatever. I had the access because I was in the program with the camera. I'll be filming Jason Tatum, for example, who's on the Boston Celtics now, who's absolutely killing it. But they would get to know these kids, and their parents would get to know these kids on the team, and it gets them more acquainted or familiar with the school, and it helps recruiting tremendously. Video and the graphic design stuff does too, but like video was just like
super informative.
You could just do so much more with it, in my opinion, and it was just booming at the time, and they really valued that.
That's crazy. So how do you popped through, now this is your 3rd university, right, that you're working at. How are you finding these jobs? Like, how does someone go about finding like here's another one opened up. Should I consider that? You know what I mean? Like, how did that land on your plate?
Yeah, so the Duke one just saw it on their Twitter feed one day, which is rare for teams to like even post like jobs available. Some teams do it, even like NBA teams will do it or NFL, but it's far and few between. There's like a Teamworks or sportsjobsonline.com. I can't remember the exact URL, but that one has a lot of like, it's all sports jobs, like videographer, photographer, social media, branding director, whatever. But the Duke one just just fell into my lap because I was just on Twitter at the right time and saw it and kind of engaged with it, and messaged the director of basketball operations who ended up being my boss. But the Michigan one was more word of mouth. I had known somebody who worked for University of Michigan, and when they got that position, like before it was even public, he had hit me up saying, hey, like, you should check out University of Michigan. We might be giving you a call because we're interested in potentially hiring you, or at least interviewing to start. So it wasn't public at the time. So that one was more word of mouth versus the other ones. But for most people, I would say it's either word of mouth in the industry, like in the sports world, knowing someone who does social media or video somewhere at the program or the team that potentially could be hiring, or you can find it online.
No, that's smart. That's crazy. Yeah. So you secure this job. You're going in straight video. At this time, have you gotten your own gear, or were you just using whatever they had?
Just using whatever they had. So I still had not bought my own camera, lenses, nothing. Like everything was just work owned. Duke was everything they owned, lenses, the whole package, the whole kit. And then Michigan was the same thing. They gave me a really good budget on what to choose, and I've never bought a camera or lenses before, so it's like I'm doing research on what to get. I ended up getting a Sony FS7 with a bunch of like Canon glass, Metabones, whatever.
At Michigan,
yep. Duke's gear was good, but it was more like DSLR. I think it was like I used a Sony A7S II, so it was a really good little $3,000 camera. But it wasn't like a big like cinema or like video camera like the FS7. Because the Michigan football, they had a little bit bigger budget being a football program.
Of course.
But yeah, I've never bought them before. I was always work owned.
So do you feel like you made all the right choices with your first batch of gear that you bought?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it turned out pretty good. I'm more of a Canon guy, so it was like I liked it, but it was a good camera.
So what lenses did you get out the gate like for that?
I think I got the 35. No, excuse me. I got the 24-70 and the 70-200, and then I think I got a 50.
And you would shoot everything handheld?
everything would be hand. Yep.
Did you ever do tripod stuff?
We did get a tripod, like Manfrotto one. It was nice.
Yeah.
For like interviews and stuff like that, we would do it.
Right.
But whenever I'd film like games or like day-to-day stuff, I was always, with that top handle.
Yeah.
With the FS7, it's pretty light.
So, so you're at University of Michigan, and the football team, I mean, that state, like where they play is massive, right? Like how
Huge,
many?
yeah. The big house, it's 100, it can fit up to 110,000 people, and they sell out every game. Doesn't matter if they're playing Michigan State, Ohio State, or Norfolk State.
Sold out.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
So
Sold out.
are you shooting, you're shooting every game, you're creating content around that and the team the whole
Correct,
time.
yeah.
So now it's just targeting the team and just talking about the team, and that's it. Like that's like the main goal is to captivate that. So was there other people on your team filming with you, or was it just you?
Just me. So it's each program is different, and it was a lot being like a solo video guy.
Yeah.
And I think it's what's like helped mold me or become better at doing it faster, because I'm thrown like into the fire. Like I got to capture everything, and I'm like so like type A and want it to be so perfect. Like I'm never like content with like just being decent, I guess. I always want to do better than my previous job, but like no one helped with videos. It was just me. But we had another person on the team who would do graphic design. It's because at Duke I did both. Or I started with graphic design and branched into video with one person, whereas Michigan football had more money. They had more football staffs are 3 times as big as basketball.
Yeah.
Way more money. So they already had like a full-time graphic designer who was part of my team, but like he didn't really do any camera work.
Right.
So like we shared an office together, but we didn't like, I would use like sometimes, or he would use some of my photos for his work, but it was never like, hey, I filmed this, you filmed that, and then we like make some recap or like whatever the story or whatever we want to create for recruits and fans that week. But it was just us two, but basically just me for my job.
That's so, because all right, so from my background, like I had toured with like Schoolboy Q, and we did like a bunch of like theater runs, so like 3 to 5K. That would be like the cap of the venues. And when I started working with Beyonce, like I was about to go on tour, and we had like a photo video crew. Like we had our own bus, right? We had like I think like 3 photographers and like 4 video people. And I was in my head, I remember looking at the work and be like, oh man, I'm gonna kill this. I'm gonna get all the photos, I'm gonna do all the video. And then when I got there and we're playing, I think the only college stadium that we ended up playing was in Ohio, Buckeyes.
Yeah, the shoe. Yeah, Ohio State,
which
Buckeyes,
was massive. But like we played stadiums every single night, and then having done that, and now knowing how big that is,
massive,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's massive. There's so much ground to cover.
Huge.
So much ground to cover. That's what blows my mind, is that you were the only person.
Only one.
That's like so much ground to cover. Like
everywhere.
Now looking back, I'm like, I would have died if I had. There's no way. Like there's a reason why we had so many people on our crew.
I almost died a few times. I'm like, I need a break. I need some water or something.
Yeah, when you try to do the run up to the top.
Exactly. Going up those stairs is like way up there, and then like, because you don't want to just stay in, some videographer, especially like in, I'm more a bit in the sports world, but like some will just be content like on their little hi-hat tripod or like shoulder rig, whatever, just staying in one spot. But like I'm wanting to create like something that it makes people want to like watch more, see more, something cinematic, something that's just cool to the eye rather than just being one stationary camera.
Right.
And being myself, like I had to run around, do everything, like locker room, go up top to get like a wide shot to show the atmosphere, run back down, get the highlights, run to the bench to get like the reactions or players like personality up close.
Right.
Because that's like what would drive like videos is, all right, you can film highlights, which is cool. You can see it on SportsCenter or the game, like high up, all 22 camera, but like if I get on the bench, I'm the only camera guy, the team videographer is the only guy that can get in the bench.
Right.
So like I'm like me to you, like in the quarterback, is talking to the quarterback coach, or like, they're getting on each other like in the moment. And that's like where the videos started to like even take off more, because I was like in that moment with the team, but like you said, like running around the entire venue, even like pregame tailgate stuff, like 2 or 3 hours for the game, like outside, like pre-games of football, we've been to them, like nuts, right?
Crazy.
And I've been hit with beer a few times, just like flying around, whatever, but like just filming all that and then like trying to take all that footage and like make like something cool to be engaging for like fans and recruits.
Right. So how long, what would be the process of your turnaround time? Damn, that's crazy. That's a lot.
Sports world's crazy. I'm sure creative field is, especially with video, but like they want, because these coaches don't understand how long it takes. A lot of people don't, as I'm sure you know.
No,
like,
yes.
They know what we do. They know the end product is going to be beneficial to them. Like fans, recruits, sending it to these kids, especially after a win or something. But they don't understand the second part of the job, which is when you go back to your office or wherever you're at and making these videos, And it's like I've been texted literally 2 hours after a game, like, are you done with it? Like the
It's like,
longer
yo,
piece.
what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and we would do like short pieces sometimes, like, you know, a 6 to 10 second video, and I could do those real quick. But like the recap ones, like the more cinematic style, they're like, we needed blah blah blah. So like, I'm like, okay, I got to get this done ASAP. So like, I learned a process. This is kind of how I learned to like edit better and edit faster. Is like, I'm getting like time crunched like by the coaches and my bosses, and because they don't understand how long it takes to just upload the footage, let alone to like edit, go through it, you know, find your selects, whatever, and then like make something cool that they would like. But like, they didn't understand that. But it made me like antsy to like want to get better editing faster.
Sure.
And that's just kind of how the sports world is like fast, current content always like hits fans or recruits when it's relevant, like the same day.
Yeah.
And shorter, and that's when my work started to go to like more shorter pieces because they really like that. But the long pieces I like making better or like making more. But those would take within 24 hours. I would have like a 3-4 minute video for them to send out. And that'd be like the whole story of like Saturday game day. People showing up, like the locker room, the pregame speech by the head coach, or if a former player came in and spoke. I filmed like all that, but like it just takes time to like even just listen to the speeches because the day's so long. Like I don't remember what the head coach said before the game. So I gotta like watch it again. And then, you know, to find the good plays that you would mark off during the game and just kind of weed out the stuff you wouldn't need, just like editing anything else. But like doing it within 24 hours, sometimes we get like crazy.
It's like people don't understand. It's like, okay, I was there filming with the camera for over 8 hours. So that means that there's probably like several hours of content that I have to go rewatch. You know what I mean? People don't understand what pulling selects is.
They have no idea.
Blows my mind.
They just want the video. And I understand they want
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, but sometimes you got to set like reasonable standards with these people because you'll kill yourself doing that shit.
Exactly.
Because what, would you edit all night or would you just try to get some sleep, wake up in the morning and try to pound it out?
So right after the game went in, they'd play like a lot of day games at 12. So like when the game went into like 4 or 5, like I would go in there until 10. Then I'm like, I'm dead. I've been up since like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. filming. I'll go home at 10. It's like 4 or 5 hours at night. And then Sunday morning, I'd be in there at 8 or 9 a.m. and then until it was done. And they'd use it that night, 24 hours later. So it's crazy.
It's crazy to me that, like for a team that size, it's like if you think of logistics, like it almost makes sense to like have you shooting and have someone that like a PA that's literally running and swapping cards with you, dumping, someone's just pulling selects right then, and that can make it so much. But you did all of that,
correct? Yeah,
which is, you know,
I appreciate it. Yeah, it taught me a lot though. That's,
of course.
I think it's like what sped up like my growth, like learning all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is I didn't have like the help or assistant, and everything you mentioned I would have loved to have. And some schools did have that. They would have like a runner that would just upload the footage for you. They would have extra shooters, or like some teams would have like, especially now, teams are learning now more. One guy's shooting, one guy's running, and then someone's editing like at the field, like for short form content. But like at that time, which would have been 3 years ago, like we hadn't had that. Like I was the first person in my role for that team. So it was like, you know, can I get an assistant now, like a full-time, part-time, whatever? And like it just never got there. But some teams had it. But fortunately for me, because I had to learn more, even though more was on my plate, that's just kind of how it worked out.
No, yeah. It's, I don't think, and I think that's where you'll learn that this is for you. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Because you could have taken the job and you're like, oh, that's cool, more money. And then you get there and you're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This workload doesn't make sense for people. Like, but I think it's something about creators that have like this weird itch inside of them that allows you to go like supersonic. Like you can just stay up for too long, or you can handle like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm out front at 7 a.m. and I still have till 5 till the game starts, and you're running around filming tailgates and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden you're dead. You walk 20,000 steps in a day. And it's
exactly.
Like, it's unreal. It's grueling, man. So what were some of the challenges that you kind of faced? Obviously, you're doing everything on your own. So, and this is every week there's a new game. You know what I mean? Like, what were some of the challenges you started facing?
So I've always been with teams before I broke off. Then I started my own LLC, Freelance.
Sure.
So I've never like freelanced before. I worked with Cam Newton. I should mention that before I broke off. I worked for him, like photographing his day-to-day
Broke
life.
off from Michigan?
or actually I did it with it before I started freelancing. So this would have been like a year and a half ago. I was still at Michigan with football team, and then Cam Newton, who's quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, played at Auburn, was Heisman winner, MVP of the NFL, I think in 2015. But this would have been a year and a half ago. He got like wind of my work, and he wanted like a video guy. So I want to mention this because not only like was I doing all the Saturday run around for 8 to 12 hours, NFL would play on Sundays. So when he got gist of my work, he actually like DM'd me. He's like, hey, like, do you have a second to like talk? And I'm trying to get a video guy. And I'm like, is this I don't know. Is this Cam Newton? Is this real? Is this real? And I saw his name. I had the blue check on Instagram. I'm like, Cam Newton just DM'd me. I'm like, crazy. I don't know. I've never met him. He doesn't follow me. Like, how did he learn about me? But long story short, he called me from like a no phone ID later, and I'm like, because he told me he would. He's like, it wouldn't be a phone number, but answer whatever. I was in my Jeep driving home from work, and we spoke for like an hour, and like his vision of like he wants to bring on a video guy. And I was like, well, I'm at Michigan right now, so like if you pay me more than that, like, yeah, maybe I'd be willing to like leave the school. He's like, maybe like in the future that'd be a thing, but like right now, like I just need you part-time, like during the season, blah, blah, blah. And I was asked Michigan, like, hey, is it cool if I go film Cam on Sundays during the football season? And they were cool with it, as long as I got all my work done. So I was moving at rapid speeds Saturday, getting the edits done, whatever. And they were cool with me going on Sunday to do, I guess you could call my first freelance gig working for an NFL professional athlete.
Your first freelance gig is with Cam Newton.
With Cam Newton, quarterback, Heisman, NFL MVP. It was crazy, right? So I was doing the whole Saturday with Michigan, flying out, starting at, like, I would take 6 a.m. flights on Sunday, film Cam on Sunday, and then I'd fly back Sunday night, and then I would be doing edits for both, if that makes. But like the Cam one, like he would get it like on a Monday or Tuesday, but like Michigan, I had to finish before that flight, so that the Saturday night, or they would get it on Sunday, like I would do it on the plane right there or whatever. So like I was just constant. I was adding the extra work. Now Cam paid me, and it was extra money, and it was great. But like it was just the craziest season ever, just every week, 2 games a week, pretty much.
Oh my God, yo. And it's the same thing. Was it the same thing? Like when you were with Cam, are you on the field trying to get just really cool highlights of him, or did he want to show the same elements that Michigan wanted to show? Like, I want to see atmosphere, I want to see crowd, I want to see fans, I want to see that? Or is he just like, film me do dope stuff on the field and make me look awesome?
Yeah, he was pretty open to it. I mean, he gave a vision of like the atmosphere of like Carolina Panther football games, and then like his life like leading up to the game, whether it's traveling with him in the car, his nice car to the game, or walking into the stadium. And NFL guys, and Cam's into fashion, they all have the fashion stuff, so like capturing that stuff for his brand, because he's really into like fashion stuff. So that stuff would be used like branding his Mashika hats or like his clothing. So like that was more than just like football plays, like capturing the pregame outfit, locker room sometimes, pregame on the field. And he's a very animated person, so like there's always personality moments, and he's obviously the biggest player on the field, the most looked at and talked about every game, because he's Cam Newton, and he's the quarterback, which has the most attention. But capturing the highlights, not just him, but the other players. It'd be me and then one other guy, but every game throughout the season. So they either played on Sunday or Monday. So yeah, it was like Saturday and then Sunday, or Saturday, Monday. Oh my God. Mainly Saturday, Sundays. It was the craziest like weekends. I ended up losing like 10, 15 pounds that season, because I was just I was like I was eating as best I could, but like
airplane food and garbage, hotel food.
Yeah, exactly. Burger King, McDonald's.
Oh man.
It was just like I had no other choice, because I was so busy. It's like I didn't have time to like cook me a nice meal or like go somewhere nice. It was just constant on the run and on the go. I loved it though. It was so much fun, and getting to work with Cam is one of the best players in the NFL, MVP in 2015, Heisman. Like he's Cam Newton.
Well, and what what an opportunity for you to realize that this is working. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're doing it for college, but then to have a superstar recognize it, you know what I mean? To reach out and want to like connect that way, like what an opportunity. Right. So would you take the gear from the college to shoot these? So this is when I bought my first camera, because Michigan, which I understood would not. It's their gear. Yeah. And I'm not going to just take it and then not tell them, because if I break it or whatever, it gets lost in the plane, whatever the case might be, I'd be in big trouble. It'd be worth firing me probably. I don't know. Right. But I didn't even ask. I just bought my own gear and just left that there. So I bought the Canon 1DX Mark II as my first camera. Nice. That I personally bought and owned. Got a couple of Canon lenses. Why'd you pick that over that, like the FS7?
I think price point at the time, because the FS7, I don't know, 8 or 9, 10,000, right? And then the 1DX, I also wanted that because of photo, because Cam wanted some photo work too. Where Michigan was solely video, and then I would do some photo work on like this little, like an older Sony, I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't like a part of the job. But anyway, with Cam, wanted video and some photo work, so that's why I got the 1DX.
Right.
Plus, like, if I'm gonna buy it, I want something that's like best of like both, I guess, to use. Like maybe I'll get another job, freelance or whatever, like, and during the off season, whatever. I just felt it was like the best investment for me.
So you got that immediately and just started learning the camera. Obviously, you're hauling there, you're getting this content. Like, how much time would you have with him? Like before, would you like meet him at his house or something, and then roll with him, or a hotel and roll with him to the venue, or what was like the usual like day in the life of that job?
So sometimes it'd be like meeting him at his house, or like when he rolls up, being in like the parking lot. If it wasn't at his house, like for the drive-in, it would be in the parking lot, like when he'd pull up. It was dependent on like when my flight would get in. Yeah. Because it's usually, they always played like 12 noon games or 1 o'clock. So I had to fly out at 6 a.m. going from Detroit to Carolina, in North Carolina with the Panthers. But like, if I didn't get there in time, it'd just be him at the park, the football field, and kind of just go from there. Kind of just get what I can get. Like, it's him coming in, parking his car, his Lambo, whatever, or Bentley, Rolls Royce, whatever car he drove that day.
Life.
And then, right? And then filming that, him getting out, and then up to the locker room, let him do his thing for a little bit, getting dressed or whatever. And then when he come out on the field, you're filming all that, getting up close to him and personal and getting all those moments. But just basically just rolling with what was allowed by the time my flight got in, time I Ubered to the field, and then trying to get as much as I can.
It's cool that like having worked at these universities really kind of got you the lay of the land as far as like how things worked in
game
that
day
professional.
Atmosphere,
like that's a lot of people don't understand. It's like you assume like you got a photo pass, you can just do whatever you want, but then all of a sudden you're in front of this person, and you could ruin something in the game. You know what I mean? Like you got to really understand it. Was there a big jump there going from pro from college?
Pro is a different level. It's very much the same, but it's different in the sense of it's very more strict, I guess, because it is the professional level NFL. Like, if you're not wearing the right pass, credential, whatever, like, people will get on you. They'll hey, get out of here. They could remove it from you, and you're out of the game. So it's like college is a little more lenient. Obviously, being like part of the team, like I always had like the team badge on, so like it was never a problem. Yeah. But I wasn't, when I was working with Cam in the NFL, I wasn't like working for the team. I was more Cam and his media production company, which he started a few years ago. It's called 𝐅𝐻𝐋𝐋𝐖 Productions. Cam actually is like really into like film stuff.
Oh, cool.
He texted me when he was buying a camera, and I can't remember what he got, a Nikon or whatever, but like he's into the stuff. So like he started this production
him to shoot
for him, just for fun, like around his kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'll like edit videos in the off season, like just for fun, and send them to me. But that's during the off season, whatever. But it's cool. Like he loves like photography. He loves like capturing those moments. He's into like good films, documentaries, whatever. So he has a passion for it. Obviously, like his job is football, but like he wanted someone good to help run his 𝐅𝐻𝐋𝐋𝐖 Productions team to like get that going for him to build his brand. Because like more so, and I know a lot of artists are doing it, but even more so, professional athletes are like realizing that like social media content, photography, video is so important for like your brand, your image, everything. And instead of like a player after the game, stealing a Getty image or something like that, or someone else's, like they can have their own guys and kind of, go from there. But I think Cam was realizing that before a lot of the other athletes were, like the Odell Beckham Jr.'s, Juju Smith-Schuster, other top players in the league were doing it as well, but not very many. And he was kind of the forefront of that was Cam, and having a passion in film and photo, I think, is what jump-started that. Yeah. And he saw that branding on social media is important for him, the money he can make, etc.
Right, and it's a good way to like really milk the way you do your brand deals too. Like you're able to include some of that content there, and I feel like it's cool because I feel like rappers have been doing these recaps since the day. Like that's the main thing they make. They tour vlogs and all this stuff. It's like that's been something that I think a lot of these athletes have really, obviously they like admire musicians in that world. It's like they all want to switch positions, they want to be each other. So it's cool to see them like start figuring that out. And I think I remember like we did a Madden campaign, and it was with Antonio, and I remember him being like, yo man, like I didn't think he was just kind of hanging out, and I'm like directing this whole campaign, and then he's like, do you shoot stuff too? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I need a guy when I'm in LA. And I'm like, right on, just what are you talking about? Like, he's like, just like, let's get me swole in the gym and like running on the beach, and I just want it to look cool with the drone and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, bet. And he's like, threw me his number. He's like, let's link or whatever. And I never ended up, I mean, I was so busy with stuff I didn't do it, but it's like, oh cool, you're starting to like take advantage of that, because you realize like, why would Gatorade could throw, you might be ill at what you do on the field, right? But this person may be ill at what they do on the field. Plus, they have a guapa followers that are highly engaged on their content.
Huge
and
following, yeah.
As soon as you see that, you're like, oh, they understand it. Like, we should throw the bag to them versus that person, because they have it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about Gatorade putting your face on their carton or whatever. I don't know. I'm just using Gatorade as an example. But like any of these companies putting your face on a Wheaties box, right? Like that doesn't really mean anything anymore. Like they want you to be putting the Wheaties box on your Instagram or your Twitter. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. But that's dope that you guys like really built a bond to create. And I feel like he gave you like a free reign to like kind of.
It was free reign. He had a vision. Like that first phone call I got, which was wild, literally 10 minutes after the Instagram, which blew my mind. I couldn't believe it at first. But like he gave me a vision, but it was free reign. Like after that, like what he wanted, and he trusted me. So that was cool that he trusted me, and I think he trusted me solely off like the work he saw on my Instagram, because I've always been like promoting my work. Like I don't really have anything too personal on there. I've always used Instagram as like a portfolio of my work, and that was kind of my website before I got a website, was my Instagram portfolio. If I ever sent it to someone, here's all my work, and I think he saw it. So if I wasn't like branding myself and my Michigan work and other jobs I've done, Duke and etc., like maybe he wouldn't have hired me if he didn't see like the football videos I did.
But it's just like a picture of you out in the nightclub or something.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
It's crazy how it is your portfolio. It's so did you ever find out how he found you? Because you said he wasn't following you or anything.
So he wasn't following me. So he had like a photographer at the time who I had never met. His name's David Ricks, and he's still his photographer to today. I don't know how long he's been like with him, but he mainly shoots just photo. Cam, long story short, I guess he had mentioned to David, his personal photographer, who would do like lifestyle stuff, even game action stuff too as well. But like, you know, Cam's big into like cigars and like hats and clothes. He would always do his lifestyle stuff for his Instagram. But I guess he mentioned to David that he was looking to like up his video game for what or video image as highlights or day-to-day vlogs, whatever, on his social media channels. And David had thought that I would be a good fit, so he sent my profile. And again, I didn't know David at the time. He sent my profile to Cam, and that's how he looked at my work.
That's crazy.
So he went to my Instagram. He's like, yep, I like his work, and then DM'd me, and then kind of the rest is history. But so he was the plug. He put me on.
Yeah, shout out to that guy.
Shout
you
out
never
to him.
met him?
I had never met him prior to that. I've met him now because he would be at like the games and stuff.
Of course.
But he,
wow,
he's the one who put me on.
That's insane. What were you dealing with? Some, I mean, I'm sure you had access on the field and running into things and getting kicked out of the games or whatever. I'm sure that comes along with it. But what was some of the hoops you'd have to jump at the games? Was it kind of hard to like find your space to be in, or did they tell you like, hey, you can kind of be in this area, but if you go over here, you'll probably get the boot? Like, was it kind of like that? Shooting?
Right. So for NFL, it was like that. College, being with the team, it was go wherever, because I had a team. The team videographer would have a pass that says team bench on it. So like that's the same thing. Assistant coaches have team bench. So like if you have that, you can go anywhere pretty much. You're part of the team. Whereas the other casual or other photographers there shooting for, I don't know, another social media or newspaper or whatever, they would have like just field, like in a behind the end zone, sidelines a little bit, but not the bench or locker room and stuff like that. But NFL, I didn't have team bench because I wasn't with Carolina Panthers. I was with Cam, but it'd be just field access. So it was different. But I think filming like football for the 2 years previous, I learned like where to be and like where, if you don't have a team bench or team pass, like where you can and cannot be. So I learned that through Michigan. So I had a good idea of where I could be, but I was always the one that like, I won't cross the line, but I'll step to it. So like if I can't go on the bench, I'm going to get as close as I can, because you want to get those personal shots of like whatever he's doing. He always like interacted with fans. So like I always wanted to be, and he expected us to do a good job, right? Because like anybody would when they hire you. So you got to get close to him, even though you can't go on the bench. So it's like, that's just one example. But like you're moving around quite a bit and trying to get whatever you can.
So cool. Is it, do you feel like, I guess with, you know, how progressive everything is, and there's probably I'm assuming other creators that are there with other players maybe taking up space too. It's like, all right, you want to go in there and make him look as good as possible, which now not only to think about like how many other players are seeing your work, you know what I mean, as well as like the NFL and all these people that are potential hires, especially as you're about to go into this freelance space, you know what I mean, like this is your first step into it. The pressure there to create at a high level, is that something that kind of came to play with you leaving Michigan, because you realize like I really should focus, like give that 100%, because it's almost 50-50 at this point. You're going probably 100%, but you're splitting your 50-50 with the school and
there's only
him.
so much time. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Did you feel that at all? Was that like a reason for you to want to kind of step away from Michigan?
I think it opened my eye to like freelancing for sure, and kind of doing my thing with professional athletes, you know, personally.
Yeah.
Whereas I've always been with a team. There's always been, you know, it's always been salary jobs like these things, and you're only filming this throughout the year. But I think it opened my eyes to like something new, something different that I could do. And I loved like the personal connection you could have with the athlete, let alone Cam Newton, who's, you know, a superstar in the NFL and was, you know, won a national championship and Heisman in college at Auburn. But like it opened my eyes to like what I think I could do if I was like my own boss. And then, you know, I got the idea, like I stuck with Michigan for another year after that, but like I got the idea that maybe I would do this in the future. I just didn't know how soon it would be. But working with an athlete I love, I'd still do that today, but like it just opened my eyes to like what else I can do out there. But I knew that like there's probably no way I can do both for a long period of time, because it was just so much travel. And then like being a solo one-man band, like for both jobs really, it was a lot of like work on my plate. So it was like, all right, if I stay at Michigan, which I love it, like I don't know how much longer I can do camp, but I don't want to like put that to the side or throw it away, because it's a great opportunity for me, and it's building my portfolio more so than just Michigan content. Like I'm building, you know, more different things, and it was fun. It was like, oh wow, like I'm enjoying like shooting a different type of football game or athletes rather than shooting the same players all the time. So it just opened my eyes to like what it could be. I think it's what jump started it.
What up, creators? I want to remind you about our community at jointhehomies.com. The homies are the squad of legends who support what we do here at Black with No Cream, so we can continue to build this platform into the best educational space for content creators on earth. And in return for that support, we give you a bunch of sick perks all month long, like access to our live stream tutorials and hangouts, bonus podcast episodes, and so much more. Check us out at jointhehomies.com. Let's go. Was it challenging, like you going in the locker room, right? That's like the private space where these guys get to kind of let loose and do whatever they got to do before the game starts or in the middle of the game, you know? Was it is it challenging shooting in that environment? Like you know, like for instance, like when I'm with artists, like you kind of learn when they don't want the camera on, or when another artist walks in the room and they have a conversation, they like get the shot for a little bit, but then they're like, yo, you don't need to shoot this just because like I just want it to be personal. We don't need to have it on camera. Was that a situation in the locker room, or is there always media in the locker room as well? So
the media is only allowed in the locker room post game.
Okay.
After a win or loss, they're allowed in there for like a certain block, like 20 minutes after the game, after the coach gives a speech. But pre-game or halftime, whatever, is just the team video photographer, which would be me, so no other media was allowed in there. But to answer your question, like it would be, you feel it out. So like the last thing for me was I never want to be distracting.
Right.
And I wanted guys to be in their moment, whether it's headphones on, in the locker room, some guys praying, you know, whatever they do pre-game. But I don't want to like be so much up in their face that like it's distracting them from like their pregame, you know, habit, ritual, whatever the case might be, where it would ever cause a problem, saying, hey, Ty, like I don't want like you that close. So I just avoided that. I figured, you know what, we'll just take the lens to them. So I'll just use a longer lens rather than something wide and up close. Even I would do that sometimes too, but like just stay away, be in my place.
Super
you know,
fly on
I'm
the
not
wall.
exactly. I'm not playing the game. This isn't about me anyway. So like I don't want to distract. And even though like the players would, they're college kids, so they never like tell me what to do. My boss would be the coaches and the director of football, personnel, whatever. But like where I could see like an artist who's kind of running the show where they would be like more vocal, but like a player, 18, 20 years old, like I could go up in their face if I wanted to like film them, but like I know they wouldn't like that, most guys.
Was it like that with, like, did you go to locker rooms with Cam?
Yeah, a few of them.
So like in that, were you kind of a little bit more tiptoey trying to figure it out?
Very
tiptoey. Were you nervous too? Because it's
a little bit, yeah, because there's grown men in the NFL locker room. It's like, y'all are really big dudes. Like, I ain't trying to start a problem. It's like, being a new face, because like these guys play football, but they recognize like who's in the locker room. So like they're familiar with you or not. Like they know your face. They know you have a camera or whatever. So like I was new. So I was definitely like in the corner, fly on the wall. I wouldn't say in the corner. I was active, but like I was not, in anyone's space other than Cam, because he would want me to be in there at certain points, but not all the time.
Was he ever like co-signing you or making it aware to people that, or was it just, did he just assume it's obvious that you're his guy?
I think he just assumed it was obvious when I was in there, yeah. Because his photographer would go in there sometimes too, so it was like, everybody, I think, on the Carolina team knew that Cam had his iconic Saga Productions team, which was me and his photographer, and then a couple other guys would help from time to time.
Right.
So they knew that, and he's the quarterback, he's a star player, so they just kind of, let it be. It's more business, obviously, in the NFL than like college, where it's, if I take the wrong step, like the head coach would get pissed. He's technically my boss, but like I'm working for Cam in the NFL rather than for the team. So it's like the team has their rules and stuff, but like, Cam is Cam, and he's kind of the superstar of the team. So it was like a little more lenient, I guess, for him. Right. Because if he is the quarterback and who he is.
Right. So his season ends. You did a couple games with him? How many?
Oh, I would have done that whole season.
The whole season?
Yeah.
Damn.
So it was every game.
Wow.
Home games in Carolina, road games, wherever they played. Yeah, everywhere.
God.
And that was Saturday, Sunday.
Racking up miles.
Yeah. Racking.
I love that.
My Delta Sky miles is way up there right now.
Yeah. Do you hit gold or whatever?
I think so, yeah.
Is it like, so after that season gets done, you roll into next year with Michigan.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you do that whole season again.
So once the Michigan/Cam season happened, which would have been not this year because he's hurt this year, but it was last year. So when that season ended, I did off-season Michigan. Right. And then Cam ended up at the very, I think it was 2 games left, Cam had surgery. Okay. So like I filmed all of his games, but the last 2 because he just sat out because he got surgery. So he's been out since then. Right. He hasn't played at all this year. So I haven't done much with him at all this year because he's hurt until next season or this off season. But so I was like, all right, there's no Cam this year. Bummer, whatever, sucks because he's hurt. He's out, unfortunately. But so I was strictly Michigan for off season. So that would have been like spring, summer, and then the start of fall camp. And that's when I broke off for freelance. Right. I decided, I want to change my role again, my job. I mean, I'm doing what I've been doing with Michigan, the same thing, but like I want to be my own boss. I figure I can make more money. It was a tough decision, but like it was what I want to do. And now that I've been doing it for seven or 8 months now, it's definitely the right decision.
Yeah.
And, Michigan was awesome, Duke was awesome, Indiana, all these schools, and I'll continue to work with Cam as well as freelance rather than being with just Michigan. But, but yeah.
Yeah, you guys, so after that first time with him, the season, obviously the intention was you would probably come back the next year just like as photographer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's crazy how it's interesting. I had my friend Justin Boyd on here who is Mac Miller's photographer. Okay. For forever, like full-time dude. And it's crazy. I don't think people pay attention to when you put all your eggs into one basket and like that basket breaks, you know what I mean? You're kind of scrambling. You don't know what to do. So it's kind of crazy that like luckily you've had Michigan to rely on. Then he gets hurt and like the jobs are done. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No more money, no more, you know what I mean? If you're banking on that. Luckily to have that school, but for him it's like Mac Miller passes away. It's like what are you doing? Yeah, he's all over the place. Like what do I do? Who do I work with next? Did that feel safe having Michigan there to lean on, coming out of the pro season that year or whatever? Obviously he gets hurt. That's obviously a safety net. Did you look at it that way ever? Or was it just like, I have this job and I don't know where this is going to go. Let's just see.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's so the Michigan was, this is my salary position. I got to work hard because they're expecting X, Y, Z and these requirements from me. So it was, I have to make sure if I'm doing Cam or any other side work, which gratefully they allowed that. Yeah. I was nervous that they wouldn't allow that, but Sundays were the off day for college football teams because you play Saturday. The players get all beat up on Saturday during the game. So Sunday is like dead period, nothing. Right. So it worked out perfect. with Cam's game, NFL being Sunday. So I got lucky there, being able to do both, being Saturday and Sunday. But I guess I looked at it as like Michigan's my full-time job. Like that's job priority number one, that no matter what I do with Cam or anything else, like my workload and priority is always Michigan because they're paying me a salary job. It's how I'm paying for my day-to-day living. You know, my apartment is, most of that's coming there. And Cam paid me pretty well too, but it wasn't like what Michigan was being full-time.
Sure.
So like that, my thought process was, I'm going to work as hard as I can to get the Michigan stuff done, but not like speed it up where it's crappy work.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Obviously you want to keep it like your quality, exactly. And then, but also dive in to make some extra money and this great opportunity with Cam. So I guess that's how I looked at it.
Sure.
Was, you know, this is priority number one, no matter what, you know, I do with Cam, but that's priority number two is Cam's work.
Yeah. So you leave. First, are any of these schools like bummed when you're like, all right, I'm out? Because you do like one season with them, they're probably starting to love it, and then you're like, I gotta go.
I gotta get a new guy. Yeah,
sorry.
exactly. Yeah, they are. And it's tough to leave each school, right? Because it's like you build these connections with these players and the staff, coaches, whatever. I mean, you get to know the head coach a little bit, but like, you know, being the video photo guy, like they're worried about X's and O's. So you don't really get too much of a bond with the head coach, but like the players specifically, those are the worst like goodbyes, I guess. Is those players are college kids and they're like, you have made me look so cool on Instagram for the last 2 to 3 years. Like, why are you leaving?
Yeah.
They're like, especially like leaving Duke and Michigan. Indiana, I was just doing graphics, so that was new. But like Duke and Michigan, like I just remember those days when I had to like text or whatever, DM the guys I was closest with saying, hey man, I'm leaving, I got this new opportunity. And like their responses are like, they make you like sad because they really, really liked your work so much, and like the bond and the friendship you have with these guys is like more than just like football. It's like they saw what my work did for them, and how appreciative they were. And it was like sad, but it was also like felt good. It was like, you know, it's like, it sucks I'm leaving y'all, you know, a better opportunity for me. It's always never easy to say bye, but like these guys really love my work, and some are like, no, stay here, like don't go, whatever. But they don't know like I'm making 30,000 more the next job, so it's like I got to do it. It's best for me. So it was like, you know, it's just one of those moments.
No, of course. I mean, you're their guy, so it's like, and it's crazy at what that content can do for them. You know what I mean? Exactly. Especially like with the era of social media, it's like they can micro use that.
And even the younger guys, you know, college kids or even younger, there's social media. I'm on social media all the time. I'm sure you are as well. But like even the younger generations, like it's crazy.
Constant. It's crazy. Would you, during that time, I guess this is like my last question for the college era, were you making... You'd make like the overall highlight, but then are these kids trying to hit you up to get specific things for just themselves, or was that something? Because I feel like that's the problem in this world. Is like, okay, I go on tour with an artist, I'm shooting for them, and then the homie's there and they're like, yo, did you get that shot of me on stage? And I was like, yeah, but I don't really. Then I have to go make a whole lot of, you know what I mean? It becomes like that. Mm-hmm. Was that ever an issue with you guys, or did you guys find ways to like multi-purpose the content you were getting?
So it would come up quite often where like a player is like, hey, did you, because they liked my photography or video work, like, hey, did you get, you know, a photo or video of me or whatever during that game, or practice, whatever the case might be. Because sometimes I was switching off. You know, I'm shooting photo this day for practice, video, so I'm switching off, but like they don't know what cameras what. So they're like, do you have a photo of me? They never like ask for like video edits, but like, do you have the photo from like practice? Like, nah, I shot video today, blah, blah, blah. But I would get that request quite a bit because they want to post stuff, and I was the only one at practice every day or the game that they had access to, or they knew or had a direct number to me, and they liked my work.
Right.
But when I gave a couple guys photos, I remember my boss was like, hey, like if they ask, like say head coach said no, because like it was like adding more work to my plate, I guess.
Yeah, a lot.
And it was just a lot, and I didn't like it, but like I'm cool with the guys, whatever. You know, obviously you want to plug and help them out, but it just got like cumbersome because there's so many dudes on a football team, and it's like my job isn't to take like a job request from a player. Like, hey, get a photo of me today. That never happened. Yeah. But like after the game, they would just ask, you know, friendly, like, hey, did you get a photo of me so I can post on my social media? I'll tag you. You know, I love your work, whatever. But sometimes I would hook them up, but more often than not, it was no.
No, that's probably a good thing because it's like it's just too much to concentrate on.
Too much, yeah.
Like another role, like that should be someone else's job. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's crazy. It's cool to think about where this is gonna go for these universities, because the more you're telling the story, it's like, man, you could really make an efficient team that could like multi-purpose this content, make multiple edits, and that's good for everyone because these little, you know, college kids are posting on there, whatever, and that's boosting everything for the college. You know what I mean? Oh, it's crazy. So you leave. You move to here?
Moved to LA. I have been here for not even 2 weeks. 1 week.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. So that's
just
like
got a house. Just got a house today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, man. And
Thank
you came
you.
over here?
Yeah. Yep. Came over
You
here.
gotta move some stuff and
I've
go
been
hit
here
that
2 weeks.
IKEA?
I'm already on Black with No Cream.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
There we go. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Where'd you get a spot at?
So it's in Wood Hills, Canoga Park area. So
Okay.
it's right north of Calabasas.
Right,
It's kind
Woodland
of
Hills.
yeah. It's kind of out a little bit, which I've heard. I'm not super. I've been to LA a good amount of times, but like
Sure.
I've never lived here, obviously. But like it's an hour from downtown, which I heard that's not like the move really anyway. West Hollywood's a good
Yeah.
spot, Sunset, whatever. It's like 40 minutes from here. So it's like, it's away 'cause it's a little cheaper.
Yeah.
LA rent's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
No, it
so
is.
coming from like right outside Detroit, like rent's like half
Yeah,
out
I
here.
believe it.
Yeah, and the place in Detroit was super nice, half the rent. But this place is really cool, so
yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Are you living by yourself?
Me and my girlfriend.
Oh,
Yeah,
dope.
she
Nice.
moved here
So
with
she
me.
moved. Damn,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Was she involved in anything with the sports?
Nope. So she works like radiology tech. So at a hospital, she worked at University of Michigan
Sure.
Hospital, but she'll get a hospital job.
Right, right. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a big leap.
Big leap. Yeah.
So what was the thought process like? You know, you're shit. Sorry, my fucking mic wasn't on. When you're thinking I'm gonna leave Michigan, when did you officially stop working with them? You know, you moved here 2 weeks ago, but how long have you been not working with?
So I branched off from Michigan, I think in June 2019. So that would have been what, 7, 8. I'm not good at math. 7, 8
Yeah, sure.
months ago, whatever it is. So that's when I would have branched off starting the own LLC. But I was still like in Ann Arbor, which is 20, 30 minutes outside of Detroit,
Shout
where
out
U
to
of
Ann
M
Arbor.
is.
Yeah, I've been
Shout
there.
out. You've been
Yeah,
there? Great
yeah,
college town.
yeah.
I love it.
There's a pizza spot there. We used to hit up. Damn, I can't remember what it's called. Fire Pizza.
They
Shout
got
out
some
to
good
Ann Arbor.
stuff. Great food there.
Yeah.
I think it's like one of the top 10 like food university cities ever. But anyway,
Sure.
it's great.
Right.
I miss Ann Arbor, but definitely gonna like the weather here.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, but
This isn't even good. This is
right?
like the cold.
Yeah, this is the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think like the reason was like, all right, so I lived in Ann Arbor because I was working at University of Michigan, which makes sense. And then now that I'm doing freelance, like I had not heard or done much like local work, I guess. Like I've done like some one-offs with like some smaller brands,
Right.
like in Detroit, that were great, and some good like side hustle, side money. But like I wanted to expand and be like full run and go. So I was like, it's either New York or LA.
Right.
And we had thought, and it was LA from like the beginning. We liked it here. New York, just, you know, it'd be kind of similar to Detroit, but like we wanted good weather, be on the West Coast, something different. And then just hopefully more local work. But I'm obviously going to be traveling for work as well.
Right,
But,
right.
but yeah, we just said, let's do it. So it took like, you know, I freelanced for 7 or 8 months. Chair's going down here.
Damn, you have my chair. I don't know what I did to that chair. It
There
just
we go.
slowly
There
starts
we-
like falling.
It just randomly just went down. It's like, am I doing that? My hands are
Yeah,
right
I think
here.
I got to get a new one. Damn, my
All
bad.
good. There we go. But yeah, we're like 5-6 months into, and we're like, let's do it.
So
You know,
what kind of freelance work were you doing? You were purposely trying. I mean, it's hard to do freelance work and not create a long-term client, right? Like
Right.
especially local, because you're like, yeah, I'm leaving. But what were you doing?
So there's only a few like local ones, like pub work. So like I've always been like big salary from a school, CAM. So I did like pedal pubs or whatever, like nothing crazy in
Like
Detroit.
bars?
Yeah, like
Okay.
a bar, pedal pub. Like that was the only Detroit place I would ever do, and it wasn't very much. So like when I started freelancing, all my work was travel. So it was always like, you know, Slam, Adidas work, whether it's University of Washington, like they would fly me out to Seattle. So it was like all travel work.
Yeah.
And there was just no local work that like I knew of or wanted in Detroit, even though I'm sure there's plenty.
Yeah.
But I was always like university driven for my full-time job. So I was like not even plugged into the freelance game of like the city.
Wow.
Never had a reason to until then. But all my freelance work was travel.
How were you booking those clients? Like to get Seattle to fly you out? Like how did they know about you?
So social media, yeah, same thing is just knowing people through Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And then once they got wind that I was freelancing, I was talking to them like email or DM or text, whatever, and they wanted to hire me for shoots, whether it was Adidas football or Adidas basketball, Slam, basketball, Mars Reel, Uninterrupted, which is what I'm shooting for
Yeah.
now. NFL films, they hired me. It was just all like word of mouth. You know, Ty's freelancing now, me reaching out to these guys saying, hey, I'm freelancing now, like I'm trying to get work.
Right.
And I hit the ground running pretty good starting when I freelanced, but it was all, like I mentioned, like traveling. So that was one of the reasons why let's go to LA, try to get like some day jobs where I could be local, just a shooter, where I'm not flying like every week,
Right.
which is what I did for the last seven or 8 months. It was flying for every job, wherever it was around the
Yeah,
country.
it's a lot. You got to
It's a
haul your
lot.
gear around
Yep.
and make sure you're on time and all that stuff. Was it like what would be some of the objectives these clients were giving you, like Adidas, for instance? Like what would a job be like for that they'd be like, okay, come here and just do what you do? Or was it a specific like campaign and straight creative?
So the Adidas ones were straight like campaign, and they would have like an outline of what they wanted. So they have a lot of their brand is with a bunch of schools, for instance, for football, basketball, all the sports. But this one was University of Washington. They had switched from, I believe, Nike to Adidas. So they just started a new contract. They signed off and signed this new big contract with Adidas. So they wanted to promote U of Washington Huskies in Seattle, their new Adidas uniforms, because they just switched off and they got to get all new branding. And now Adidas, their new, is going to be making their stuff. So they had me go out and photograph and film like the new uniform for like a reveal, photos and video. And like the player reactions when they see like, ooh, the new Adidas uniforms, like the unveil or whatever. So I had to like go all capture that. It was more like, tied to your thing. We've seen your work. It's really good. That's why we want to hire you. But, we want to make sure we capture A, B, C, D. Yeah. Exactly. So it was like, there was little direction, but it was a lot of like, do your thing. Like, we trust you. We've seen your uniform reveals for Michigan or whatever teams I've worked for, which I would do as well. But it was cool.
Damn, that's nuts. So, so it's a lot of traveling. But
a lot of traveling.
Now, coming out here, and obviously we talked at the beginning, you guys doing the stuff with Bronny and the whole school, and Uninterrupted. Was that kind of like, all right, when I get out here, I'll probably continue to do that for the rest of the season, and that's my job till then? Like, that's one of my main jobs that I'm relying on, getting out to LA and getting started?
I think like this Uninterrupted, Bronny James, LeBron's company job, like it kickstarted my move to LA quicker, whereas I probably would have waited a few more months or until after the season. But when I got this job, like the first half of the season was away games for them. So I was still living near Detroit and Ann Arbor. And so I was flying to these games for Uninterrupted, but from Michigan.
Right.
Whereas their second half of their basketball season, which just started recently, was all like LA games, whether it's at home, up in Chatsworth or anywhere around LA, these teams that they're playing. So I was like, this would be the perfect time to like move here. I want to move here anyway.
Yeah.
So just the perfect time is like right before their home games. It makes it easier for me as far as like traveling, and we're going to do it anyway, so let's just do it now.
Right.
So that was kind of like what kickstarted the move, I believe.
And what a cool, like, I mean, obviously it's like, it's LeBron James' kid in the school, I'm sure. Is there other athletes' kids going to the school right now, or is he like kind of the main?
Dwayne Wade's kid.
Oh, right.
Zaire Wade. So like they got some,
heaters.
Crazy.
So you're capturing, I mean, this is a time in history. It's cool that they're doing this and capture. So how, when you guys are at each game, it's like you and Darren are running gun, shooting, and then there's another camera crew that's also documenting as well?
Correct. So like we're all under the Uninterrupted umbrella. So it'd be me and Darren working together for the social media part of the Uninterrupted / Sierra Canyon boys basketball schedule.
Right.
And then Uninterrupted also has, I think, 3 or 4 other guys that are doing more of the filming. They're saving it for the TV or the show, whatever it's going to air, wherever the doc's going to air later on. I think are 8 to 10 series, whatever it is.
Sure.
So ours is like quick form, social media, like showing the basketball team, Bronny, Zaire Wade, all these good players, and the high school team immediately for social media while they're capturing for the long run. So it's kind of like 2 teams working together. Right. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And they'll use our footage for the docu-series whenever it comes out as well.
I saw you post on Instagram, I don't know when it was recently, that said you got a new camera. You got the red Gemini.
In November. Man, it's awesome. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Had you ever shot on a red before that?
Nope. It's went out on a limb on that one, just did some reviews, and I liked it. I like the look of it, so I follow a lot of people who have a red, and I like the color science and the look of it. I love Canon, but I wanted a video camera, and I was like speaking with a bunch of people, even like people who produce and direct out here, and they're like, Gemini. Like, it's 5K, it's great. 4K, 5K, whatever you want to shoot.
Lightweight.
Super lightweight, and like the low light is crazy on it. And like I was thinking like cameras I could get that were in a not crazy 40, 50, 60,000, but like something nice now that I'm running a company, and especially coming out here, like I got to make sure my gear is up to par. And like you can do good work with lesser gear. I'm a big believer in that, but like, I know for a fact out here some people are like, oh, you have a red, I'll hire you. That's just kind of the culture and the way it is sometimes, even though give me a small A9 or whatever, I'll make something cool. And I know a lot of people is capable as well, but like I had to up the camera package to use in my pricing and rates.
Sure.
And I thought it was a good time to do that now that I'm freelancing full time. But I just wanted like the new video camera, something that'd be better than just a Canon 1DX, which is great.
Right.
But yeah, it's super lightweight. The low light is crazy, and it's been good so far.
How's the transition been with dealing with the media of it? Because I mean, obviously you're stacking up red footage now.
Crazy,
the file
yeah.
sizes are way
Huge.
bigger. You're gonna need way more hard drives,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But even just the functionality of editing it, like how has that transition?
You know,
been
I
for
was a little worried at first because I heard like it'd slow down your computer quite a bit, which it does because the files are way bigger. But I have not had no problems editing with it.
Yeah.
And I have the newest Mac laptop.
Sure.
I don't have the Tower machine yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully get that. It'll be even faster, stronger. But I haven't had any problems with it.
Yeah.
You know, I just throw it on 1/4, 1/16, you
Right.
know, playback, and it's been pretty smooth for me.
That's awesome.
So the editing's been just as smooth.
Yeah, it is interesting that fact of like just having the gear. I mean, I've seen it a million times. Like when you come down and you have your budget and you have to hire out a crew, you get a DP or whatever it is.
Yeah.
If someone has the camera and someone doesn't, it's like, okay, well, I could get them for that rate plus their camera rate, which may ultimately be a little bit more affordable than getting this DP and then having to go rent all the gear. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It ends up becoming something that sometimes it's unfair to watch it happen because you see really good DPs who just don't have. It's like, well, this job may want to use a Red, this job may want to use an Ari, this job may want to use a GoPro. Like, I can't have all the cameras, you know? But you see a lot of people not get booked for that, which is, it's kind of a bummer sometimes. But I mean, if you can afford to do it and throw down on it, of course, why not? And obviously the content, so I'm assuming everything you guys have been shooting for Uninterrupted has been on the Red?
On my Red, yeah. And
Yeah.
then he uses his Sony. I think it's A7 or A9. I think A7, which it matches actually color science. I've tweaked a few things in the editing, but I try to make it match as best as possible, which is crazy. I mean, you can tell the difference, but I get the colors right and exposure, and it looks pretty similar, honestly.
I know.
It's like these little cameras, like I love the Red Gemini, but like some of these smaller DSLR compact cameras are really good.
They're crazy.
It's like you don't need the 2030 sometimes, like, but I like having it.
Yeah.
I just like the frame rates you can choose. You know, the resolution's crazy.
Yeah.
The color science, like what I'm trying to do with like feature documentaries or like maybe commercials or something, like they're gonna want that camera. Like you mentioned, instead of like always wanting to rent out gear, I figured, you know, I've done a pretty good job saving up my money and working hard and doing the double job of Michigan and Cam. I've saved up that like it was time to invest in it, and you know, that's kind of when I just pulled that plug on that Red Gemini, but I've loved it ever since.
No, it's super crazy how the small cameras can compete, and even drones, like
crazy.
I remember flying drones out here when I first moved out, and we'd put it in like Chris Brown music videos, and they were shooting all 6K at the time, and I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna look terrible. And then I watched it, I'm like, damn, it sure looks pretty fire. And then even we did this doc on Mary J. Blige, and our DP main camera operator was shooting on a Red Scarlet, I think. And I had a 5D Mark III at the time, and they didn't have another budget for more cameras, so I just shot on that. And it was funny because like one thing about the Red, it's like, yo, you have to swap a battery and the fans kick in, and it's not really ideal for docs. I've always been a champion of being like, I don't really think that's the doc camera. It's good for moments, you know what I mean, if you specifically know what you're going out, but if you're just trying to run and gun for 12 hours and just like let it sit there and run, there'd be times where his camera would just the fan turns on, or he's got to swap a battery, the camera takes 5 minutes to reboot and all this stuff, and I would just shoot, and there was a lot of 5D footage that sometimes I'd be watching, I'm like, that's my angle, but it's crazy because you can't really tell the difference, which is nuts.
No, that's right.
For a 5D Mark III, that camera sold at the time, it's pretty remarkable. But anyway, yeah, the power of it is dope. So you have that's your primary camera, or did you get rid of everything else?
So I still have the 1DX, but I shoot maybe like vlog myself with that, but like I don't use it for video work, just strictly photos. So the 1DX is strictly photo, and then the Gemini's been all video since.
Cool, that's dope. That's a dope little squad of gear.
Yeah.
So now what's your plan? Like moving forward, like how do you see yourself kind of crushing out here in LA, moving after this?
That's the goal, is coming out here and doing, you know, as much work as possible, hopefully getting like more local stuff. But I think like I've been mainly sports up to this point. I think I don't want to like branch away from that, but I want to expand my work, whether it's fashion work, commercial work, whatever the case might be, documentary stuff. Like, you know, I think Justin Bieber just came out with like a documentary. I would like
today.
It was today.
Yeah, it just dropped today, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch. I would like love to like be a camera op on like something like that. So like that's something that I could see myself getting that opportunity out here. Hopefully, knock on wood. But like compared to like being in Ann Arbor or Detroit, that doesn't happen as much.
Right
there. Whereas out here, it's kind of crazy out here and notorious
Yeah,
for that type of work and that
nonstop.
line. But continuing to work like branded content with like Adidas and all these other sports, Nike, whatever the case might be. But, you know, I don't want to be just Ty as a sports guy. Like, I'm hoping to expand out here in LA to like whatever the case might be.
No, this is the place to do it.
Yeah.
Man. It's like everything is here.
Everywhere.
Everyone wants content.
I've been driving, so I've been here 2 weeks, and, you know, I'm seeing like a different studio or like a film production, like, and you don't see that back in Detroit.
Yeah.
Like buildings just different that I've never heard of, right? So it's like, I think there's like Universal Pictures or whatever's out here, but like
everything.
But like studios and all this stuff is like, this is obviously where it is, which I knew that coming out here.
And being out Woodland Hills, the area you're at, I mean, that's like pretty close to where the helicopter went down.
Yeah, we were like 10, 15 miles away.
Man, bro, that's just nuts. I wanted to slide down to downtown yesterday just to see it. And I have to like go to Miami for some pre stuff that we're shooting at the Super Bowl. And I have a feeling that whatever they choose to do with this like funeral, you know what I mean, or however they do it. I mean, I was here when Nipsey passed, and the whole city went bananas. You know what I mean? And those two being the goats from like being able
legends.
to turn it up,
Yeah.
it's like I can't even imagine what it's like to be, you know, around that at this time. But man, what a wild time to be out here. And I mean, it's sad. Yesterday was sad, bro.
Yeah.
We
Still can't believe it.
I know. I was like just blown away. And it sucks too, because there's not enough facts out there. You know what I mean? Like, you still don't know what happened or why. It wasn't like super foggy. You know what I mean? But man, crazy. I let our Patreon community ask questions, so I wanted to like make sure they got a chance to ask you questions before we wrap this up. But this has been dope. What a wild ride, man. It's crazy.
It's been crazy, and hopefully the craziness slows down a little bit. But
yeah, you can keep reiterating. Like, if any clients are listening to this, I would like to do some local LA work
right around here, within 30 mile distance.
30 mile range. Damn, did you guys drive out here?
We did.
You have a car?
It took
Nice.
like 3 days. I got a Wrangler. It was a little bumpy, a little loud on the way with the Wrangler, but like we made it.
You drove out with a Wrangler? Oh
Wrangler,
my
yeah.
God.
Denver was crazy.
Yeah.
Like just beautiful. And then Utah like was crazy as well.
Was it snowing when you?
It snowed for like 30 minutes. I thought we'd get like some crazy weather, but no rain.
Right.
And then snow for like 30 minutes, and that was it in Utah.
Man. Yeah, that drive, we did it too, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But can't do it. I mean, I've had friends that do it several times. I'm like, you're nuts.
It was like 38 hours for us.
Yeah, I'm flying until I need to move that car home or something. Like, forget that. All right, cool. So let's see here. I have it. Where is it? I'm in the wrong one. All right, so Q&A. So Josh Adams, he says, I thought this was great. Have you ever been able to, have you ever been hired to shoot both photo and video for the same event? And if so, do you have any tips on how to be most effective juggling the two? Because it is, you know, tough to like decide when the moment's going to happen and if it should be a video document or not. And I thought it was interesting earlier how you were talking about some practices you did just shoot video, some were just photos. How do you go about kind of balancing that?
Great question, because it's not easy, and there's probably more than one right way to do it. But working for a team, I think I learned, especially when I was doing the video and photo, is you need to learn how to balance it, being a solo one-man band.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier when you have like one camera, like a DSLR. Like if I'm using the DSLR and then the cinema camera, it's hard to juggle both. It just takes time. But like with the DSLR, you know what you're shooting. You have a plan before. I think you plan as much as you can before.
Yeah.
Like, I only need these images or these photos during this practice or whatever the case might be, or this concert, live show, whatever it is, and then get the video as well. But like have a pre-plan of when those moments occur, and the more organized you can be. I don't know if that like really answers it, but it's just, I think hands-on experience with it is how I learned the most. And I guess it's never easy to say, okay, I'm just going to shoot video or photo this time, but you just have that feel, I guess, that gut instinct of when, especially with the DSLR, you just switch the button from photo to video, and you change a few settings if you want. But I think it's just balancing out and being prepared for those moments, saying, all right, I snapped off a couple good photos, I'm gonna switch it to video because it's a good moment, and I know I got what I needed in photo and it's get the stills I needed, but let's shoot video now, and then kind of just switch back and forth.
Yeah.
But I think when I'm with the DSLR, I always, it was easier because you could just switch it.
Of course.
When you're doing both, like a red, and then, it just takes time to like switch all the lenses and all that stuff, especially if you don't have a ton of lenses. But yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose your battles.
You got to pick, and you're going to lose some. You're going to lose some battles for sure. But like, if you are on the job to do both, it's like, hopefully you can figure out how you want to do it.
Let's see. Matthew Wolf said, I wanted to throw some love to the Facebook group. Biggest tip for someone who wants to photograph for big brands like Nike and Adidas?
It's a good question. I think if you have one of the big, I can't remember who said this is a great advice I saw one time. If you have create a portfolio of work that looks like paid good work, I think paid work will come soon after. I cannot remember where I saw that. It was like 2 years ago, and I loved it. It stuck with me forever. So the reason I mention that is if you're not working for Adidas, Nike, or whatever brand you aspire to shoot for at the moment, create a portfolio, Instagram, website, whatever, of work that would be on par with what is on their page. So which would be their work on their page is paid work from people they're hiring. So if your work can be on par with that, even though it doesn't have a check mark on it, like a Nike check or swoosh, whatever, like it can be anything, whatever you're shooting. Maybe it's something that's more low budget or whatever, high school, college, anything that's local, but make it look like that and creative and good visually. Then I think paid work will come soon after.
Absolutely. That spec work too. It's like going out and trying to, you can buy a pair of Nikes.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Maybe you got a new pair of Jordans or whatever, and you want to take some good photos of that or video, whatever. And you got this crazy idea that'd be cool. Make that, and then you can use that as a spec video or whatever, and send it into like Nike or whoever the case might be. Right.
Absolutely. I love that. Let's see. Last question from Shane Humphrey. He said, "What approach do you take to pitch your ideas? Is personal success enough, or does it even matter? Also, how do you ensure you retain clients?" So I guess more so. Let's go off the pitch thing. How do you go about pitching? If you're coming into them and they're wanting you to bring some sort of creative to the project, how would you go about pitching a project or pitching your ideas?
So usually when they have a shoot, whatever the case might be, maybe it's a tennis shoe or a uniform reveal or whatever, they'll give me the info that they need for the shoot, and then I'll usually create like a mood board, storyboard, something of my ideas, getting like images from like something different that I liked, like a mood board, put it together for them. Like, this would be cool to capture this way, this style, this aesthetic, whatever. And then I would pitch that to the person who's hiring me, or we just kind of go back and forth, whether it's through text or email, and how we want to tackle that particular shoot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Do you make a lot of pitch decks, or do you just kind of do it as
I haven't made a ton, but I do have made some, but I have not done a ton. No.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Damn, it's crazy just to think of like how this all came from. Not making it in baseball. And then how that switch happened for you so quickly, and just to hear damn, it's nuts, man. But you hit the ground running. Shout out to you for that. It is something to commend for being willing to like throw in the effort, be willing to open yourself up to learning. You know what I mean? And then to see that all kind of makes sense in the end. It's like you're in the spot you want to be right now, better than ever, and you have the most control to be whatever kind of creative you want, especially out in a new city.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's dope, man. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. This has been sick,
Great
dude.
to have you.
Is there anything else I'm missing?
Should be it. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw links to all that stuff, follow you and everything in there. But man, that was dope.
That was awesome.
So before you leave, I always tell I start this thing where you get to like create this hashtag, right? So I'm gonna tell everyone to go to some people listen to this on audio, but go to the YouTube version of this. We have it on YouTube, and leave a comment, and they're going to put this hashtag. And then I also want them to put a takeaway that they got from this interview, right? So you got to pick the hashtag. It can be whatever you want. Okay. But that way we both know if we're ever on YouTube, we see this comment on there, we know that people actually listen to the whole thing, and then they're going to share their takeaway. So what do you want it to be?
And it can be any hashtag?
Any hashtag you want.
We can go with my hashtag I use for, I guess, my own brand, Ty's Eyes. Hashtag
Ty's Eyes?
Ty's Eyes, yeah.
That's hard. I like that.
Yep, Ty's Eyes, yeah.
Ty's Eyes. All right, cool. Drop that in there. Let us know what you think of the interview and your takeaways. I would love that. Yeah, man, this is dope. Appreciate it. Glad and shout out to Will, too, for pulling up last minute and helping us shoot this. It's been dope. But all right, cool. That's it. All right, we're going to add this in because we just got off, and then I looked at my notes and had the top thing. Obviously, it's your Instagram. It's in your Instagram bio, bro. It says 2 times Emmy winner.
Yes, sir.
How, dog? So I got nominated for an Emmy the project I work on, a documentary, but we lost to Carpool Karaoke by James Corden or whatever his name is. Felt good to be nominated, but you won. So what were the categories and what happened?
So won my first Emmy in 2018. It was Best Sports Feature Emmy Award there in Michigan chapter. So it was our video called Colors it was the season opening video for University of Michigan football team. The And that was like literally like to hype all the fans up and to send out to recruits. It was like the off-season workouts, like the story, history of Michigan football, like the season opener that goes out like the night before the first game. It's notorious in the sports world that every team, like videographer, makes one of these. And basically it's just a rich tradition of the school. University of Michigan's they've won so many national championships, Big Ten championships, like tying the old in with the new. And that was my vision for that video. And it's on my YouTube page and Vimeo. You can check that out. But yeah, it was a couple years ago. Made that, won that for the best sports segment feature, I guess, that year. And then 2019, the University of Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, the head coach, was notorious taking the football team on a out of the country trip every year. So we went to Rome one year, and then the year after that we went to Paris. And so I was the team video guy, and I would document the trip. Craziest, like 7, 8, 9, however many days it was, just filming everything. The only guy doing it. Yeah. Made a sweet little recap video. It was like 3 or 4 minutes of what the University of Michigan football team, 80, 90, 100 guys in Paris, what they did for a week, all these events we went to, and how fun it was, and made that to like recap the 1 or 2 weeks we were there, and won an Emmy for that as like best photography work inside of that video.
Wow.
So it was cool.
That's insane. So would you submit those? How did those get brought into that?
So each year there would be like you could submit it for wherever you're based out of, where you're living. So this was like everybody in the state of Michigan, the Michigan chapter, Emmy Awards, and then you would submit it once a year. There's like a certain date, and then it would go to like a committee that would vote, and then it would just people would get weeded out, and then it would go to another committee, and then it'd make the final ones, and then you would go to the event, which is once a year, held there in Michigan, and they would have like a big like award show for it. It was really like professional. It was really fun. And this is my first time that I was ever at one. This is the first time I've ever entered. And my group, like it was me and 4 others for the best sports feature, state of Michigan, whether it's colleges, news stations, whatever the case might have been, TV commercials, whatever was being filmed in the state of Michigan that wanted to enter this sports segment or whatnot. But mine was the first category when we got there, and my name was called right away. And I was like, just got here, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. Like, I had to walk up to the stage and make like a speech or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, it was cool. Like,
do you have anything written?
I did not. Like, I just went off the top of my head. Hopefully, it sounded pretty good. I don't know. I was like, all right, well, I'm up here the first time I've ever been here. Crazy. It was crazy, and it was cool, and it was like, it was also, it inspired myself, and hopefully inspired others, but inspired me saying, wow, like, this is like, I knew people like liked my work, but like to get like some award for it, no matter how big or small it is, it was like cool, and you got to take home a little gold trophy, and it was neat.
Oh my God, man, that's amazing! Congrats, bro.
Thank you.
That's sick. I just want to make sure we got that in the podcast, because then we got it documented. That's sick. All right, more to come.
Yes, sir.
All right. Woo! That's it for episode 156. Huge shout out to Ty for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate that. Links to follow him will be in the description below. Make sure you get him on your Instagram feed right now. Thank you to everyone that listened all the way through. We would love it if you dropped one of your biggest lessons or takeaways in the comment section on our YouTube channel for this video. We really want to know what you guys take away from these episodes, so let us know in the comments. And if you want a chance to ask any of our future guests a question during the Q&A experience, you can do that by going to jointhehomies.com and submitting your questions. Follow us on Instagram at @BlackWithNoCream to catch up on highlights that we post those every single week, so you can kind of get a head start on what you're going to listen to on each episode. And that's it for today, folks. Enjoy the week and keep creating. I'm going to Hawaii tomorrow. Bye.